the PNC, I would have thought that Burnham would never have allowed any other court to have jurisdiction over the presidency. And I'm certain the same thing for the PPP, although no doubt it serves their purpose now, and they will attempt to use it.
Dr. Wendell Jeffrey shared that opinion with Nightly News in expressing his views on the occurrences unfolding thus far at the 2020 elections of Guyana. Dr. Jeffrey, commenting on submissions to the Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ, by his party's presidential candidate, Senior Counsel Ralph Ramkaran, on Wednesday, said they were mere excursions from the original issue, which is whether or not the CCJ has jurisdiction to preside over the elections appeal case.
To declare that the report should be withdrawn and all that sort of thing, yeah, it's fine. You can do that if you get away with it. Fine. But I think those things were excursions. All of the three of them were excursions.
The former Speaker of the National Assembly, Ralph Ramkaran, Senior Counsel, had submitted to the CCJ that it should nullify the most recent report submitted by the Chief Election Officer, reflecting a victory by the APNU-AFC coalition, as well as make pronouncements on what exactly are the valid votes of the 2020 elections in Guyana that should form the basis of the result. In opposing a statement made by Ramkaran in his submission to the CCJ, where he said the numbers calculated by the CEO seems to be something of his imagination, Dr. Jeffrey posited.
First of all, it is not a fiction of anybody's imagination to have votes that are tainted. I mean, that is known. I mean, whether or not the CEO did a proper calculation or whether or not he has made invalid too many votes is another issue, but certainly votes can become tainted. We have seen that on many occasions, all manner of places.
Dr. Jeffrey was asked about the possibility of the CCJ finding that it has jurisdiction to preside in the matter.
Would put us in a kind of a problem, of course, but it depends on what it is overturning and what it will replace it by. I mean, as I was just saying to you, there can be no way that you can give the CEO a job to say, given population should not be allowed to vote, and don't give him the power or the authority to investigate and deal with those populations in a way that can tell you if those populations have voted.
Expressing the view that the Chief Election Officer of GECOM, Keith Lowenfield, has the power to investigate anomalies arising from an election, Dr. Jeffrey noted that allegations of electoral fraud should not be left to a court to decide. It should be the job of the elections body.
I say that if 4,000 people voted that weren't supposed to vote, well, that's nothing. Leave that to a court. That's the job of GECOM. It's a board of directors. Any CEO did anything like that would have been sacked.
Jeffrey expressed optimism that the process would come to an end as quickly as possible and that the parties involved would meet and have talks on the way forward.
I'm hoping that people would meet and talk. These issues are at a point now where it's a question of negotiations. It's not simply a question of win and lose.
Reporting for HGP Nightly News, Wendell Jeffrey.